Hi, this is again Volleyball Explained Podcast, and this time we are going to talk about the upcoming season in the Italian league. As a tradition, we have this podcast before the beginning of the season, which starts on the 1st of October. So we are ready to be into it, and with Ronnie, we are going to make our comments about the our predictions, comments on the teams, etc., etc. So. Ronnie, firstly, I would like to ask you, what do you think in general about the transfer market? And then we are going to talk about the teams uh, as divided in several groups.
Well, thank you, Bogdan. Well, like you say, every year happens many transformations, and many year we say that this is the year that the league will be very, very good, and we see or we witness the same results over and over again, like 4 or 3 teams going hard, and the rest, well, they are just there for participate and nothing else. In this year league, well, we can witness the rise of Piacenza again, potentially to be a title contender. And then you have Modena and Trentino and Juve, who are teams like, from my point of view, they are more weaker than a year before. Maybe not Trentino because they keep the same core team, but in the case of Luve and Modena, of course, they are more weaker. And of course, you have interesting moves in the middle of the table, and of course the newcomers like Siena, and yeah, we will have to discuss every aspect of it, and yeah, many stars have been going, like Matthew Anderson, who no longer plays in Italy, and this will be the first time that we don't see any American in the Serie A. So it's interesting all those years with a lot of America, and now you don't have any. So yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of American players over the years. So we had Anderson, we had Holt, of course, we had Sander, I believe, was also in. So let's start a little bit different this time and start in a reversive way. So we can start with our predicted, let's say it in this way, the teams that will be in the bottom and probably in the bottom, but who knows? For example, Siena, the newcomer, um, is composed of a pretty experienced players. So Siena, Padova, Taranto, and probably, I don't know, maybe Cisterna also.
Mm.
Do you think that these will be the teams that will fight for staying in the group? And what are your comments on the squads? Because even in those teams, there are some very interesting names.
Well, you have first of all Siena, who bought the place which was intended for Reggio Emilia, who won the Serie A Due, but due half capacity, they are under construction of a new place to play volleyball. They didn't deliver in time, so they have to give up to his place. And well, Siena, a former A1 team, so sorry, first division team, took the spot, and we without it, they bought a, let's say, a decent group of names. I will say names because there is a lot to be proved for this team. If you remember, years ago they bought a more or less decent team, and they didn't go well. So it was a very disappointment. In that team, I recall that it was like Maruf, Then they had Fernando Hernandez and another former stars that not longer play in Italy. So this time they had Pereira, a bronze medalist from Tokyo, Finoli as a setter, Van Gardenen, Patrick, like the oxide hitter, Raffaelli, maybe the second setter, Giulio Pinali, Ricci. I mean, there are a lot of well-known names, but in my opinion, most of these players are or wash out or they are coming from injury or too old to step up and have a decent results. For in that reason, for me, they will struggle to compete against the best, not only because of all that aspect, but because the level is too high and they are the new ones. So yeah, I don't know what is your opinion, but for me, it's more or less that they will struggle. For example, I seen that the possible starting lineup will be Finoli as a setter, an Argentinian setter, Giulio Pinali, Petri with Van Gardenen in the outside hitter position, and Fabio Ricci and Massone like middle blockers, and Bonami, a libero that you like to remember every time that you talk about the Verona team, something like that. I don't. He was in Verona or other team. I don't.
Yeah, he was in Verona, and I believe he improved a lot during his stay there under Stoichev, and I believe he's much better than in the beginning. In the beginning, it was I wouldn't say shit libero, but not that good, and I believe he improved a lot. So my opinion is pretty much the same. I believe that their starting six is uh pretty good, especially, of course, they have the finances, it seems to do so. So players like Ricci
Mm.
in Perugia, Mazzoni in Modena, Petric, even though he's aging, he's still a player that shall be mentioned. Van Garderen probably will be a starter for a very first time in Italy. I don't know. And Pinali, it seems like a very good squad, and uh, I would say that they won't be or last for sure. It's very hard to say where they will be, but for me, not last for sure.
Well,
Um,
yes, this can be good in a good way or a bad way, you know, because they are the newcomers and we cannot expect that they have a good result in their, let's say, first year with this kind of roster. Yes, they have a decent one roster, but let's see, because we have been seeing like this kind of teams in the past and they don't deliver at the end. So yeah.
okay. Next team, probably. Uh, let's go to the team uh, of Padova,
Mm.
and they have pretty pretty big changes. In the last season, they played with opposite setter German duo in Weber and Zimmermann. Now they changed it totally, and they have Davide Saita and Dusan Petkovic. Uh, the Bulgarian Asparuchov changed Verona with Padova. They have also the Belgian player Desmet. Also, Ran Takahashi is staying there, plus the son of the Italian legend Andrea Gardini, Davide. They have Italian middle blockers and the German libero who previously played in Trento, Julian Zenger. What do you think here, and mm, how do you
Mm.
expect for Padova to be lined up? Because I had pretty big problems when I made schemes, pictures with the predicted lineups?
Well, I will go straight to the players that I know most. So for me, the starting six could be David Saita, of course, in the center position, Dusan Petkovic in the opposite, Ran Takahashi and Asparuhov like oxide hitters, and then you have Volpato and Canela with Julian Senger as libero. I mean, uh, my concern, of course, it comes in many directions. First of all, I don't think that pair of middle blockers can hold up in this kind of competition. But Volpato uh, repeat in Padova. And one of the things that hit most this squad in the last year was the fact that they did it so well in the first leg, but then you and me saw that many players already signed much better contracts before the regular season ended, and that provoked that they I throw the second half of the season and play not so good. So and you had players like Linus Weber or Zimmerman or maybe Mattia Botolo, who now is in Lubic Vitanova, underperform
Gotardo, Gotardo
exactly.
too.
Gotardo. Well, anyway, yeah, they will bring Davide Gardine, who had some success in his college career. He didn't win the title when he was needed. He was overpassed by the Hawaii of Parapuno, but there has been a lot of controversy about this kid because he should have been playing in Serie A Uno years, many years before this. So, but he choose maybe many people say that he choose his education over volleyball, which for me is totally fine. But I don't think he can be the right now the main difference in this squad. So you have Dusan Petkovic, who in the past was well known for his ability to receive much sets, but to have a lot of points, but a bad hitting percentage. He's one of those kind of opposite that receive a lot of balls, more like Julio Savi in the past. They don't make the difference. Yeah, they score many points for his let's say his own game, but they don't help the team because most part of points go out or get blocked. And then you have
Yeah.
Saita, who didn't have a good second season in Valencia. Well, that team get relegated, so at the end, uh, I will see if this line of resection with Asparuhov and Takahashi can do some damage, because for me it's the only way that I see that this thing get not relegated at the end. So of course Dusan Petkovic will have to step up, but like I say, this is a like a trampoline team. You play in Padova to prove something. Maybe after the first half of the season, you maybe have something more better or something better, and you can stop playing or not getting much. So that's why this thing will have or might have some problems in the future.
I believe the secret here could be the outside hitters, because there are four outside hitters which are, if not even, mm, we can't we can predict in a very good way who will play for sure. So we have Asparuhov with a bit of experience in Italy. We have Ran Takahashi, who is the new Japanese star. We have Matthias Desmet, who is a pretty decent outside hitter coming from the team of NAC Roselare. And as you mentioned, Davide Gardini. So Dusan Petkovic for sure would need help from them. And it's very interesting how things will evolve with the starting pair of outside hitters and of course the substitutes. So I'm very interested even in the first matches how Padova will look like, and actually we'll see them even in the first day because they will face Modena in the first day of the league. Okay, next is Taranto. Taranto impressed a lot during their first season. They were supposed to be weaker, I think, and now they, interestingly, Lopki, the Canadian, going from Padova to Taranto, the U22 now. Stefani, the opposite, I believe, the Italian opposite. Mm, Oleg Antonov, the eternal, probably Oleg Antonov, and Marco Falaschi and Aletti, the middle blocker. And Rizzo, I believe Rizzo played for Vibo Valentia before, if I'm not wrong. So what do you think? And this is a team that I believe could be, for example, could be not will be, but could be a potential relegator.
Well, you are talking about Taranto?
Yeah, Taranto, yeah. Even though Di
Uh,
Pinto, we know Di Pinto is a specialist in saving.
Another unknown, let's say, unknown team squad for me. They have Palaci, of course, since the last year. He come from Civitanova. Then you have Stefani, who is a very tall opposite. He was, I believe, in the World Championship
Yeah,
Gold
yeah.
Italy campaign, but he's very young. I mean, you have experience and, well, for me, a wash up Oleg Antonov, who best times already passed. And then you have Eri Lepke, who wasn't so good last season, especially in the international seasons with Canada. He didn't deliver at all, and many people expected that he will be the guy that step up the game for the new team of Canada. Then you have Aletti and Gargiulo, again two Italians middle blockers, and Rizzo, who is the libero. Most of those players are new in the team. Only Falaschi is the remain, and Simone Aletti, when you know, uh, is more or less the same situation that Padova, and it can be worse if Lepke doesn't step up, because I don't think Oleg Antonov can give you more than he already can show you. So uh, yeah, it for me it will be another year for Taranto to try to survive in Serie A, in first division, and maybe for the for the for the squad that they hire, um, they can be the this year Ravenna. So for me,
Yeah.
a lot of desperation. They hire like two or three guys that were already in Serie One, and then the rest of the team are like, even the substitutes, the reserve teams. You have Potarelli, Luconi, Extran. I mean,
Unknown
Andro,
names.
What?
Unknown names.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So they will try to put all the effort in the starting lineup, and if that is not enough, they can be in serious and dangerous situation.
Okay, next one. And this is the last one from the low tier teams we've predicted that they will be at the bottom. Is Cisterna? Uh,
No, it's Verona, no?
uh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Let's wait that. Let's hope that it will not it will not Verona, but you know how it is. You expect something and then it can
Yes,
go different.
of course, this is our predictions, but in
Well,
terms of at least in terms of names, I don't think Verona should be here, and I will explain why a bit later. But
okay.
I
Well,
I, I think
Cisterna.
I
Yeah,
think I think I think you would agree that at least for now is
of
Cisterna.
course,
So we
of
have
course.
Michele Baranovic setter. We have Marco, I think, who Sedlacek, another player who is in principle he's a backup figure, but it's probable that he could be a starter in Cisterna. The Efe Bayram, the Turkish talent with Dirlitz, who played very good in the last season, and Aidan Zingel and Andrea Rossi, I think, middle blockers, and Damiano Catania, a libero, the U22 libero of Italy, another world champion from last year.
Well, let's break down this. Coach Fabio Soli will have a huge challenge this season, of course, to keep this team who have in Mar, Stephen Mar last year, they Salvatore, let's say, let's put it that way. With Mikel Baranovic, sorry, who for me his best year already passed. So he for me is in the last year of his professional career. Uh, I believe his name is Petan Dilic.
Peter
Sorry,
Dirlitz, yeah.
okay.
Dirlich or Dirlitz, I'm
Is
not sure.
a
Dirlich probably because he's
is
a
a
Croatian.
is a remain player who from last season. Uh, I don't know. For me, it's very unknown because normally most part of the people don't watch Cisterna game. If you don't are a fan of Cisterna, sorry. Then you have Efe Bayram, in theory, Efe Bayram and Sedlacek. Sedlacek is the let's say the offensive outside hitter. He is 2 meters and 1 centimeter tall. And then you have Efe Bayram, who is only 20 years old. But there is a problem because I know more or less the situation with Efe Bayram. He had a chronic injury on his knee, and I don't think he will be able to play during the entire season. In fact, I don't think he can be. He have been doing a great preseason. So there are rumors that Caliberda can come to Cisterna. This is a thing that is not complete yet, and we are only like 8 days or 9 days away from the start of the league. So you start to count all the problems that this team will have to face.
Yeah.
On the other half, and it's not because I'm Cuban, but it's because I'm Cuban. At the same time, you have Jose Miguel Gutierrez, who is a kid who is coming from Chaumont, the team that you beloved Silvano Prandi coach, still coach, and it's
A lot of Cubans there.
like seven,
Jan,
yes, no,
Herrera,
nine this year, nine. So if you
Alonso.
if you count those who are nationalized for other teams. They are still Cuban, but they don't play for national team. But Jose Miguel Gutierrez is a different kind of Cuban. He is more like the receiving defense specialist, if you can call it in that way. But he's still growing physically, and he has been doing great so far in the preseason. He scored in the first game versus Lago Negro like 19 points. Then he scored 17 points versus Herbart the first game and 13 in the second game. Like more like trying to prove Coach Soli that he can be another option in this young squad. So and unlike his brothers, his older brother Miguel David Gutierrez, who play in Adue, he's not so afraid to make mistakes and have another like mentality that can be good for the team. So I expect that at some point in the season he can play. My only concern is that this is not French league, and one thing is friendly games, and another big different thing is like real competition. And there is to be seen is if Jose Miguel Gutierrez have the capabilities of making an impact in this league. As for the duo of middle blockers with Single and Rossi, is more like the same. Another Italian two pairs. The only good, sorry, Aidan Single is not Italian, but yeah, the only thing that we can say for sure is again is not the offensive power of this team will not come from the middle again. So they will have to rely in the force of Sedlacek, but also see if this Petan Jirlik can be an impact on the left side, right side, and yeah, expect the best from the opposite because I don't know what's gonna happen at the of the season. I mean, for me, it's very clear that Cisterna, Padova, Taranto, and of course Siena will fight hard for the last for not being relegated. As we all know, this year are 12 teams again, and the worst team in the regular season will get automatically relegated, and that's pretty much it. About the playoff chances of those teams, I believe that are very, very low. So we will have to wait and see.
Okay, let's make the break here, and after the break, we will comment on Verona, Monza, and Milan. And we are back from the break. Let's go to Verona. Let's go to the second tier of our predicted division of the teams in the Italian Superlega. Verona is a very interesting case. And this time, if Verona doesn't make a step forward, it will be very disappointing for me because they have Rok Možić, the top scorer of the regular season last season. They have a player who played in Korea but is pretty good, I believe, Numori Keita. They have a duo of middle blockers which are Italian internationals, even though one of them was not part of the world title just a week ago, Cortesia and Mosca. And their opposites will be Mats Jensen, the Danish player, and the Russian, very talented and very, 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 very tall Russian, Maxim Saposhkov, who previously played also in Bulgaria. And I believe he's a very talented player. According to some specialists, he could be even a starter for Verona. So this is going to be very interesting. But a libero coming from Monza, Marco Giagini, and I would say that they could do pretty well, but their problem will be again the setter. What do you think? Luca Spirito is still the setter of Verona.
Well, you have the luck that keep Rock Mosic as part of your like ground-based team. You know, Mosic had a lot of offer this off season, but he chose to stay one more year. Sorry, one more year, no, 3 more years.
Yeah.
Like having the time to adapt completely to the Italian league, and this can be something to do with the fact that Coach Stoichev has been taking this kid under his wing, like he did before with other players. I will not say he did it with Matej Kasiski because when Matej get or reach Trento, he was a little bit older, so he wasn't a kid. He had previous experience in Russia and also one Torena. But I mean, after being not let's not say fail, but not fulfill all the things that it was promised with Asparuhov, who he personally take from Montana. I think this can be his second chance. Of course, you Bulgarians wish that Mosic would have been Bulgarian, but it's not the case. But you know, he hired like Grozdanov, which for this perspective, he can be like an starter because of the Italian problem, I believe, or not. I don't know why Grosdano is on the bench in Volleyball ET page, but I mean he can be a starter with Cortesia, and then you can play with
The
with
River
yeah the
Spirito for sure. So one of the middle blockers and the libero will be Italians. This is for sure. And the other middle blocker or the setter should be an Italian too. I don't think this is that big of a problem. So, but
yeah
when Rafa comes in, both middle blockers should be Italian.
yeah, and well, like you mentioned, another year with Luca Spirito. He's not someone that you like so much in terms of volleyball play, because you know many people uh, like tend to think that we don't like certain players as people. No, we don't like the way they play. Nothing like that.
Or
Not
the
not
way
nothing more like that. So yeah,
or the way
but
how they are presented in the media.
of course, and yeah, it's a very decent team, like you mentioned, with Rock Mosic as the key center player, and then you have Jensen, which for me, I will not choose Jensen over Keita in the opposite slot, even if Keita comes from the Korean league, because he is very 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 good, and I believe he have a stronger serve than Jensen. And then you have Gordon Perrin, who can be the Canadian, who can be or will be the second oxide hitter alongside the Rock Mosic. And I don't know what happened here, why Volleyball ET doesn't have Perrin on the well, maybe Perrin is injured or something, I don't know. But like you mentioned too, Martin Sapochok is a very tall player. I mean, many
220.
people, yes, exactly. Many people say that he is like 220, more or less like that Bulgarian player who name I cannot pronounce correctly, Chernot something like.
Chernokozhev. Yeah.
But at the end, you can be like 3 meters and you can be useless like this
Exactly.
like Chernot. So well, and of course you have other cases like in Poland. Everyone thought that Lemansky was the Polish Muserski, and he ended to be another average player. So regarding to Verona, yeah, they definitely can be one of the 8 teams playing this season at the playoffs, and of course at the Coppa Italia. If because there are a lot of new faces, but if can manage to adapt quickly enough to this level, they can be huge things. And I will not completely taking out from the top 6, top 7 teams. For me, that's where the limit for this team is. Maybe 6, maybe 7, or playoff, and that's for me. I think is the goal that the managers of Verona ask to Stoichev. We need this team to go to the playoff this year, and I think it's very doable uh, with these players.
Yeah.
Everything that is not playoff season will for me will be a very disappoint
Let's say it's
result.
failure.
Yeah.
Maybe a failure. Yeah. And they have options. Keita, I believe, could play also as an outside hitter, as I put him in my schemes when I prepare them. So it will be
Oh,
interesting.
Jensen also is an outside hitter. He played previously. Maybe that's why they had it in that way in volleyball ET with Jensen and Mosic sharing the burden in the outside hitter position, and then you have Keita, of course, with Chapo Shock.
No, Keita is put there as an outside hitter as a receiver, and Jensen is the opposite. But still, they have also Sapushkov, Perrin. Perrin is a very very good option. Yeah, it will be interesting. As in other teams also, but still, Perrin can help a lot for sure.
Well,
Yeah. Next team is Monza. Monza got Steven Marr. They have for another season Georg Grosser. It is very. They also have Cachopa, Fernando Kreling, the Brazilian setter who played a lot during the World Championship, Gianluca Galassi, World Champion, and they have Schwartz, the Canadian. And here comes the question: will Schwartz play as a middle blocker in Monza or as an opposite? Since they have Grosser, my prediction is he will play as a middle blocker, and also the Viskiba, the Belarusian, will still play in the team of Monza, and Federici is the libero. What do you think here? Because it's a pretty good squad, I believe.
yeah, well, it all comes to the thing that will Cashopa deliver the kind of game that is required to success at this level, because we all know that he comes from the Brazilian league, who for no any reason is one of the top league this at this moment, with only Sada Cruzeiro being an important squad there, maybe Minas, but he all this career have been playing alone, let's say, and now that he is like 26, 27 years, decide to make this huge step and go outside for the first time. Yeah, he did it well in World Championship. For me, he's the change that Brazil needs at this moment in the setter position. I mean, he's more young than Bruno, but in some part of his game, we can see a lack of confidence still. So I don't think Cassiopa is a good setter if you are behind in the score. So let's face it. And of course, you need to because he's not so tall. You need always to have a good reception numbers. I mean, passing numbers to he made his the most quick plays because I don't think either that Monza have that passing line. So let's see with David Kiva and Mark trying to hold the door there, the line of reception, and then you had Federici, which is another young libero. On the other hand, Grosser. Let's see if Grosser stays healthy the entire season because, like you mentioned, Schwartz had a problem on his knee. He when he was trying to be opposite, and I don't think he can. He want to take that risk again, trying a position that is not comfortable with. So yeah. As for the middle blockers, another Italian pair with Galassi who have a good serve, world champion like you mentioned, and Di Martino. I don't know much this play. The only Martino that I know is who? Well, Matteo Martino. Sorry, but yeah. Then you have Visic in the reserve team, Suarez, Magliano, Berreta, like very.
They don't have a substitute outside hitter. Uh,
I
this
mean,
is this is the problem.
I don't know too if this squad is complete yet.
Yeah,
Not.
I would say he's not. It is not complete because the only outside hitter they have, even in Lega Volley website, is Lorenzo Maliano, who was born in 2005. He's 17 years of age. So probably they are looking for somebody. They gave Denis Karyagin to Zaxa, which is a very interesting transfer, taking into account that they don't have another outside hitter, which is very very strange. And
I mean,
yeah, they will probably add up somebody.
Karyagin had to go because one, the offer of Saxa was better, and then they hire like Stephen Marr, and they will keep Davis Kiva. I mean, those two have more experience than Karyagin in Serie A1, and he will have been a waste another year on the
Yeah,
bench. So
yeah, for him
he
for
took.
sure. I mean for the team because they don't have a substitute.
Okay, so yeah, as for what I seen here in Volleybox, they lack two players, one middle blocker and one outside hitter. So it's yet to be seen what will be the those key in the in the next in this week or the beginning of the other because they don't have much time. I will think that they will hire like young guys from the young categories team if they have one, and that's it because we are talking about the fourth middle blocker and the fourth outside hitter. So it doesn't matter who it is. You know that they will gonna they won't gonna play too much. So yeah, and yeah, for the resume of this team, eh, Cassiopa is the key. If he can delivers good sets, we can be seeing a team that can go maybe six or maybe sevens, nothing else, because Grosser is not a young player anymore, and yeah, Arthur Schwartz is not opposite. He will try if, but for me, it's not. And then you have Stephen Marr, who already reached his limit as a player, and Davishkiva is too well. A lot of factor here to be considered to say that this thing can be better than last year.
Okay, next one is Milano, and
Milan.
I believe that Milano
Can go higher. For me, can
can
go
go
higher.
even higher than sixth with those players. Let's go to them. Power Poro, and I believe that Power Poro is a potential, could have been a potential starter for the Italian national team one day if Simone Giannelli wasn't there. Yuki Ishikawa is probably the best Japanese player. They have Mielate Badipur, a very experienced Iranian international, Jean Patry, Matteo Piano, Agustin Wozer, who is a little bit underestimated and not that high, not that tall. Argentinian middle blocker, but he's a very big deal for me, especially for a team of the class of Milano. I mean, it's not of the best teams. And Nicola Pesaresi, and as a 7 players, I believe they could and would form a very good team, and it's very, if not probable, but possible that they can go in the top 5.
Yeah, well, Coach Piazza made his move this year and hire quickly Agustin Loser. For me, it was one of the main signs, alongside, of course, Milad Ebadipur, who previously worked with him in Belhatov. But also, we cannot forget another Cuban, which is Osniel Melgarejo. Melgarejo is like I like to call him in the Cuban national team, the third started outside hitter, because he can be sometimes when he wants, because his game is not so stable. When he won, he can be at the same level of Marlon Jant and Miguel Angel Lopez, but most part of the time he doesn't. So had a good 2 seasons in Chaumont. In his first season, he reached the finals of the championship, and Rafael Corre, the setter of Chaumont, decides to give the final set to I don't know what his name now. The pretty boy that played in Trentino all these years.
Lanza.
Yeah, of course, Filippo Lanza, and they didn't win. They lose in the tiebreak. So then last season he won the French Cup, and he have been keeping winning things alongside Herrera. This will be the first year that he will not play alongside Herrera. But I think Melgarejo is ready, and he have big chances to compete with Melas Evadipur for the offensive outside hitter, because he doesn't have a great passing, great reception, but Yuki Ishikawa is there for that. So I don't consider that Melgarejo will be the substitute of Yuki Ishikawa, because even if Yuki doesn't score too much point, he is there for a reason, to ensure the reception line of this team of Milan. So yeah, it will be an interesting battle. Piazza has been testing some rotations, like for example the line of 4 reception, line of 4 men in the reception, with Melgarejo playing as opposite. Of course, this only is a test, because we all know that you cannot keep Jean Patry, a player like Jean Patry, on the bench, even if your player, even if your setter, who is Porro, doesn't have a good back set, and he is still improving. He is too young, and that for me is the weakest link in this formazione of Milan. The experience of the setter in key moments, that will be crucial, and it can be both ways. They can be very good, even win over teams like, I don't know, Modena or maybe Lube, because after I will share some
Yeah.
information regarding Lube Civitanova. But yeah, we are talking about a team that can be another surprise this season. So let's hope that they have a good edition of Superliga this year. Of course, I didn't talk about Loser. Like you mentioned, he's sometimes underestimated because of his height. But for for no means being short or being below the 2 meters means that you cannot be an impact player.
Yeah.
He have a good attack, a good blocking, and sometimes he like to make jump serves and can score aces too. So this is a well-rounded middle blocker, not so spectacular like Robert Landy Simon, but he keep the same tradition that Sebastian Solé did in the past with the Argentinian middle blockers. Very complete, very work hard, workaholic. Sorry, and yeah, that's Agustin Loser. Of course, this will be the third year, if I'm not mistaken, in Europe, and the first year that he will not have Matias Sanchez feeding him. So with Matias Sanchez, he always has the priority in Turquoise and in the national team also. But being displaced to the third option, maybe fourth option, can be very bad for him if he doesn't feel too secure in the offensive part of the game. Um, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, because this episode went a bit too long, we were going to have a continuation of this episode talking about the 5 top predicted teams in the Italian league. So we will put the full stop here. And in the next episode, we are going to talk about the teams of Lube, Perugia, Modena, Trento, and Piacenza. Bye bye for now, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.